Report a shot fired at officers trying to stop the vehicle.
We have one officer shot.
We got shots fired. Sounded like an automatic firearm.
Copy, code red, shots fired.
We have an active shooter. We have an active shooter inside the warehouse.
Now it's Shots Fired with your host, TJ Kirgin, Dinah Death Milberg, and the lovely Crystal Powers.
And we're back for another wonderful weekend of firearms, self-defense, and personal I just popped my pee. That is so unprofessional of me.
I didn't realize what you ever meant by that.
Yeah, no, you have to pronounce your P's without popping them. It takes talent.
I see that.
Yeah. Anyway, I have no talent unless I have a gun in my hand, and this show is all about that.
Lots of guns to talk about.
The fun part of guns, the military part of guns, the not so fun self-defense part of guns, and the absolutely no fun gun laws.
Yes.
This show is Shots Fired. I'm your host, TJ Kirgin, a.k.a. SIG Glockencold. I'm afraid to touch my mic because if I touch it, it's going to fall.
I know. I keep having to adjust it a little bit, but I'm like, oh, God.
Yeah. Please buy advertising on these news talk stations that we are on. We're on 5 different antennas in St. Louis at different times on Saturdays, depending on what station you're listening. But these small conservative news talk stations need your support because they need to buy new microphones. And because the old talk stations in town are essentially rhinos. Yeah. Right? Rhinos, just like the old Republicans that are screwing us at every turn. Yep. The old rhino radio stations are also that pretend to be conservative. Yeah. Just to get the conservative advertising dollar and the conservative listener so that they can make that advertising dollar.
We're remotely conservative.
Yeah. I think we used to be on one of those stations. It was like 179 or something. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm dyslexic. Yeah. I'm dyslexic. 179. And that station sucks now.
Badly.
Yeah, and so people need to support these news stations. Yes. That we are on, wherever you're listening to us at right now. But anyway, this show is all about defending yourself, defending your home, defending your country. Defending whatever it is you need to defend, the color of your skin, what you believe in. And to do that, we use our mind, body, and soul, and usually a weapon of some sort.
I mean, it helps.
Yeah. So we talk about weapons a lot, but we also talk about the mind, the body, and the soul of your self-defense. So today, we are once again
powerless.
Well, that is, yes. Yeah, I see what you did there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Crystal Powers, our co-host, that sits next to Dinah Death Milberg over there. I forgot to introduce you.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Crystal's out again this week. She's making up some sort of stuff about how she doesn't want to hang out with us. She should be back next week, though, because I won't. Otherwise, you guys are going to be listening to Alex all by himself.
People immediately turn radio off.
I don't know. I'd listen to that shit. I'd listen to that stuff show. I almost said it.
Shiitake mushrooms.
Speaking of shiitake mushrooms, TacticalSht.Official Mushrooms is the company we own in St. Peters. And I got to tell you, we need your support just like those small radio stations do. Yeah. Right now, everybody's coming for your freedom, and we are a freedom's outpost. If you are listening to this, you are within driving range of TacticalSht.Official Mushroom, and we don't sell food. No. We sell body armor, we sell guns, we sell ammo, we sell gear, night vision, lasers,
suppressors,
nylon, magazine pouches, holsters, pants, shirts, glasses, ear protection, you name it. If it has to do with shooting sports or self-defense, we have it. Even down to pepper spray. We don't sell tasers because the electrical shocky things, because they don't work. They just tick the guy off. But we've got blades. We've got all kinds of things. Make sure to stop in and see Red, White, and Ben. He's the general manager out there that looks like a leprechaun. Yeah, retail manager in St. Louis. If you're in Florida for some reason, in Clearwater, stop by and say hi to Scott and my daughter, Ashlyn. She works down there at the Clearwater store. Yep. Which is right down the street from the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department. And our Orlando store, which is right down the street from the Mouse.
It is.
Disney.
Mouse is under some heat lately, too.
Yeah, DeSantis just hit him with $200 million in property taxes every year. And the only thing that sucks about that is that it really isn't that big of a deal.
No,
they do like
Disney.
They do like 67 billion.
Yeah,
in sales. So 200 million. I don't even know how to do that on a calculator. It's a lot of zeros. It's a very small. That 200 million is a very small percentage. I do like it, the fact that they're doing that, because every little bit helps when you're fighting communism, liberal insanity,
indoctrination,
the indoctrination of our children to identify sexually when they're 4 years old. It's just absolute ridiculousness. A whole nother reason why we should have firearms.
Yeah.
Kill your local pedophile is a shirt we sell.
It is.
And a sticker and a patch. And you can get those at TacticalSht.Official mushrooms in St. Peter's. I love that.
Yeah. I used to use
We could actually say that on the air.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just a food.
Yeah, it's just a food.
Yeah. Ain't nothing wrong with it.
Yeah. Watch us get kicked off of all 5 stations now.
And it's gone.
And it's over. Hey, you know what? If we do get kicked off of all 5 stations, I highly recommend that you go over to our podcast and subscribe to the podcast. That's another way of showing your support to small shows and small organizations. So we have our podcast called Shots Fired, same as this show, is on pretty much every podcast channel there is, except for SoundCloud, I think, or maybe Spotify. Spotify's the one we're not on because they won't let us be over there. Spotify doesn't like freedom.
No.
But we are on the iPhone podcast thing, iTunes podcasts, whatever. If you're on your iPhone, just search podcasts and then search Shots Fired. And you can see our logo there. It's a Spartan helmet made of guns wearing headphones. Subscribe to that podcast. If you're on Android, go to Google, I think it's Play or Podcasts or whatever. Subscribe there. You can also subscribe, I think, on iHeartRadio.
Yes.
Or you could just go to TacticalSht.Mushrooms.com.
Where it's also posted.
Except it's the abbreviated version of shiitake. TacticalSht.com. Click on podcast in the upper right corner, and you should be able to find a way to subscribe or listen there every week. Because that way, if we do get kicked off the radio, you can still listen to this show, because we've been doing this show for what?
6 years?
Yeah, something like that. I mean,
because it started when we moved to the new shop, so 6 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
You can also find the show on YouTube. If you go to YouTube, let me actually do this. So if you go to YouTube.
As well as all our other videos we publish, which there's quite a few.
Yeah, we need to get our own YouTube channel for the podcast. I think that's something we need to do. The YouTube channel is actually TacSht, TacSht.Official. And you can go there and find it. Last week's episode was episode 74. So, there for a while we were doing about one a month, and now we're doing them every single week, same time, same place, yada, yada, yada. But I highly recommend, because I do think we're going to get kicked off these stations pretty soon.
Eventually.
Yeah, they're not going to let us continue to do this. But anyway, hey, we got a lot to talk about this week. A lot is in the news when it comes to weaponry and defense, specifically in our own American military. The Army just signed a deal with SIG Sauer to replace the M4 and the SAW M249 squad machine gun.
Yep.
Those two weapons that have been literally the staple of infantry weaponry in America for God knows how long. I mean, since right after Vietnam, probably.
Yeah. At least.
Yeah, I mean, the M16 came into its being during Nam, right? The M4 is just a shortened version of that, kind of.
I want to say late 80s, early 90s is when they had the first iteration of the M4, and then it's continued to evolve since then. But it's been around since, like you said, M16 since the 60s, M4 since the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, and the M4 and the SAW both shoot the 5.56 millimeter NATO round. which is essentially a little bitty ice pick tip that goes at about, 3,000 feet per second?
Yeah, give or take.
And, if you are a fan of the AR-15 platform, if you've shot it or if you've ever been trained to use it against, combatants, you know that it takes 2 shots in rapid succession to effectively deflate the chest cavity, using the pressure of the 2 rounds going through the liquid medium to create massive shockwave devastation inside the target.
Yeah, sometimes more than that.
Yes, and 5.56 gets stopped by most modern body armor.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that is why this is happening. We're going to talk more about that in just a second as we leave for break at our first station. Okay. So we're back on those stations, and we are talking about the M4, the 5.56 round. 3,000 something. What's the ballistics on the 5.56?
It varies between barrel length, but typically you're looking at 2,850 to a little over 3,000 feet per second. The 3,000 you get out of an M16 with a 20-inch barrel. The 2,850 is more accurate, 2,700 on an M4 platform, especially varying on if you're using the XM855 green tip round, which is your standard issue NATO round that you get overseas, or I never received any, but sometimes you get the 77 grain Match King ammo. That's typically reserved for either your designated marksman guys who basically have just a free-floating scoped M16, and your who else uses it? Like Special Forces on their Mark 18, which is a 10.3 inch 5.56. They found the heavier bullet makes up for the lack of velocity and hits quite hard. Yeah.
I never knew that you're supposed, because I'm a Mark 18 clone inspired rifle builder.
Yeah.
And I've never really thought about using 77 grain in it.
That is ideal.
I mean, honestly, my Mark 18 inspired clone is 300 blackout. So I kind of go a little bit heavier.
Slightly.
I like those 220 grain.
Hits a little spicier than
especially running out of my SDN6 suppressor, so it just sounds like a typewriter going off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Quite a solid setup.
The click of death.
That's basically what it is.
So anyway, M556, 5.56 NATO is the most common round to be fired from the AR-15 platform.
Yep.
Some guys will shoot 223 because it's cheaper. Remington 223, which is essentially the same bullet with a very, very minute change in neck size.
Yeah, resulting in a slight difference in chamber pressures.
Yes. The general rule of thumb is if you own a 5.56 marked barrel, you can fire 223 or 5.56. If you own a 223 marked barrel, you can only fire 223. If you have a 223 wild, which is spelled W-Y-L-D, you can fire either, and it is the most efficient barrel for both because it's maximizing the pressure of the 223 round, optimizing it.
Yep.
And that's why my particular, I now am a barrel manufacturer. We started a company called Kirgin Industries, and we're now manufacturing barrels to compete with the likes of Ballistic Advantage and some of the other major high quality barrel manufacturers.
Yep.
And we chose 223 Wild. That was what we launched with.
Hands down.
You can get the Kirgin Industries Berserker barrel line at Tactical Shiitake Mushrooms in St. Peters, Missouri, or online at shop.tacticalshitakemushroom.com, except we abbreviate the shiitake.
10.3, 14.5, and 16.1 inch variations are what we currently have available.
You know what I'm really worried about, though, and this is part of what this show's all about? What's going to happen to the 5.56 because the 6-hour contract is $4.7 billion to replace, not supplement, replace the M4 and the SAW M249 in the next 10 years. So this is a 10-year plan. It's a $4.7 billion contract with a privately held company, 6-hour, and it's essentially 10 one-year contracts.
Yeah.
And the big concern right now, the big what if, is what will this do? First of all, how will the U.S. Army spin up enough 6.8, because they're changing the caliber, folks.
Yeah.
The 5.56 is going away. they're going to move to what they're calling, what the civilians call 277 Fury.
Yes.
Which is what?
It's a 6.8 by 51 millimeter cartridge, basically a necked 308. Pretty unique cartridge in the fact that, and I haven't seen whether civilian and NATO ammo is going to come in this or whatever variation they're going to have the U.S. military, but it's a special case where the primer goes on the bottom of the case is actually a different material than the rest in order to compensate for the higher pressure.
Does it also change the weight of it? Because is the bottom of the shell casing lighter than brass?
I haven't been able to find anything.
I've seen that before in 9mm. There's a company out of Florida that makes those. They're expensive.
Yeah, I can't tell. They're still keeping a lot about the round itself quiet on purpose. In fact, the true velocity they're getting out of it is classified according to what I read this morning on Task and Purpose. So they can give you a rough estimate using the 277 Fury round, but it sounds like the 6.8 by 51 military issued rounds are going to be slightly spicier and a higher velocity.
So you have to assume that if the 5.56 NATO, and isn't it interesting that we're going to a non-NATO round?
Yeah.
Do you think NATO will follow suit?
I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. Like, we haven't changed up calibers since like Korea.
Does this put our soldiers on the battlefield in a position where they can't pick up battlefield ammo, and if they run out of what they got, they can no longer operate?
I mean, technically, but I don't know the last time I've seen in the past 22 years of war we've been at. It's all been 7.62 by 39. Not really any 5.56 anyways, so that's kind of moot. Not
so
to mention,
you just drop your M4, pick up the AK, and go to work.
Wes, we go back to war in Afghanistan against the Taliban, which in case it will be 5.56, we'll be doing battlefield pickups because our current administration gave them a ton of M4s.
Oh my gosh, that's genius. You just opened my eyes to why they're switching to the 6.8. It's so the Taliban can't do battlefield pickups on us.
That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So
you know how I know about battlefield pickups, right?
Go on.
I used to play Call of Duty.
I thought there was going to be a really cool story involved with there or something.
No, not at all. Because where I was doing gun things for pay, my battlefield pickups would have been
downgrades,
high points, or Dracos.
Or what is it, Jimenez? Or a Jennings 22?
Ooh, Jennings 22. That's a highly effective assassin gun.
Oh, yes. It's basically an STI.
Absolutely. Let's get back on track. We are squirreling, which we have a tendency to do.
Yeah, slightly.
So 6.8 by 5.1 is the new ammo of choice for the American Army, the U.S. Army.
Yep. Not
the Marine Corps yet. Okay, this is not the Marine Corps.
They'll get it in like 20 years.
Yeah, so Marine Corps is going to stick with the NATO stuff. The 6.8 by 5.1, which nobody makes.
Other than SIG at the moment?
Yeah. There's talk of they're spinning up Lake City, U.S. Army manufacturing plant. Everybody loves that Lake City brass.
Yep.
You know,
Nosler actually is making.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at is everybody that makes 5.56 is now retooling for a massive stockpiling of 6.8, because the Army doesn't just need 6.8 to shoot at bad guys. They need 6.8 to shoot at targets during training.
This is a whole new platform they're going to have to adapt to and get used to. Everything's different.
Yeah, and so they're going to need all the ammo for training, and they're going to need to, as the government does, waste a ton of it. You know, so every year they're going to have these stockpiles of 6.8 and just be like, hey, just go shoot that at a tree, you know, and get rid of it.
I want that job.
Yeah, no doubt. Which is a real thing. And so if all these manufacturers, let's say Federal, you know, Lake City, Nosler, Sig Sauer, they retool their 5.56 or their 308. It's more likely to be their 308 lines that'll get retooled. They're going to be shutting down their 5.56 lines because they no longer have federal contracts to keep them running.
I bet the civilian market can keep it alive.
The civilian market will keep it alive. I mean, but already a 5.56 right now, The cheapest you can find one for in the civilian market, not made in America, is about 57 cents?
Yeah.
53 cents? 53.
Yeah. You can occasionally find it a little bit cheaper, but I mean, it's hit and miss.
Yeah. I'm thinking that this is going to result in a bigger shortage in years to come of the 5.56 ammo, because less manufacturers are going to be making it for the military, which in turn will mean there's less. Okay, so the military rounds go to the military.
Yeah,
they don't help us at all. But when those lines, when they exhaust the contract numbers, they then turn over to the civilian line. That's when they start making yours when they're done with theirs. So if they're not making theirs, are they going to make as many for us?
Here's the other question. What is the military going to do with all the ammo they have stockpiled?
Shoot it at trees.
But
that would be, will that 5.56 U.S. Army ammo just get dumped into the civilian market? I doubt it.
It'd be cool, but yeah.
It's probably illegal. They probably can't do that.
Yeah.
But it would be considered military surplus, right? I mean, you can buy military surplus ammo. Matter of fact, TacticalSht.T, the shiitake mushroom company, that building that we are in St. Peter's used to be a military surplus company.
Yeah.
Uncle Sam's is what it used to be. And so, so your theory is that this is going to mean more 5.56 for the civilian market, where there are millions and millions and millions of 5.56 rifles in circulation.
It's common enough that I don't see it going away, and maybe even more of it available because they're not having to fill DoD contracts, and they can actually start producing it for civilians. Because I believe it's only one or two companies who makes the ammunition for the military. The whole rest of the ammo manufacturers produce for civilian market, so they're going to keep it up. But I could be wrong. It's the first time this has really happened in like 60 plus
right, yeah, there's nothing to look at. So you have an arms race in Eastern Europe.
Yeah.
Anybody who calls Russia a neighbor is currently stockpiling 5.56 and 7.62 by 51, which is what we call in America 308.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, don't go crazy on me, gun nerds. I know 7.62 by 51 and 308 are slightly different, but they still work in the same gun.
Yeah.
Right. They go both ways, like your mom.
Hey.
But so NATO is sucking those up. Right. And so your Turkish manufacturers, your Bulgarian manufacturers, your Serbian manufacturers, they're shipping a lot of that 5.56 that way, which is why we're now seeing a shortage. It seems like there's a ton of M855 green tips out there, which are the penetrators.
Which you'd think is what they'd be buying up.
Right. But M193, we can't seem to find that anywhere.
No.
American-made 5.56 ammunition right now is going for around 60-something to 70-something cents per bullet.
Not cheap.
Per bang, per pew. So that's where we're at. And so I'm just wondering if this is going to exacerbate the ammo crisis in America in the long term, or if it's going to help ease the pressure. And you're going with ease the pressure.
In my head, it makes the most sense. But I also, at the same time, could see it going the way you're talking about, too. It's a hard call. It's hard to know.
Yeah, and I guess the new gun that all the collectors are going to want is going to be the MCX 6.8. They're going to want to build them to be just like those military spec guns.
Yeah.
Do you think that'll happen before they're used in a conflict? I mean, I don't think anybody was making Mark 18 clones until they saw pictures of Navy SEALs carrying them around the desert.
It already has been.
Really?
SIG launched it at $8,000 a rifle and has already been pumping out, I believe the designation they called it was the Spear. And I don't know how many they've sold, but they already have launched them at $8,000. So,
well, we're kind of a SIG dealer, so we probably ought to go see if we can get one.
Oh, God, that'd be awesome to have in the case in St. Louis.
Wouldn't it?
Have that before anybody else.
Come be the first to touch the fury.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
If you think we should do that, send me an email at tj@tacticalshitakimushroom.com. Of course, you got to use the abbreviated version.
So you want me to dive into some of what the new rifle is?
Yeah, so here's the thing. You know, the gun community has to crap on everything.
Of course.
So right now, what the F-boys are doing is they're making fun of the weight of the SIG Sauer X. What is it? The X what?
The XM5 is the carbine, and the XM250 is the medium machine gun that's replacing the SAW, the belt fed.
Yeah, so they're pooping all over the XM5. Isn't that a BMW? Or no, it's an X5. Yeah. So the XM5, they're crapping all over it because it's so heavy. There's all kinds of memes out there, you know, that show, you see the soldiers or the SEALs carrying the logs together, you know, the teamwork log carry, and they're all carrying one giant, XM5 rifle. And, it shows them bench pressing XM5 rifles in the desert, because it's not just the XM5 that won, SIG Sauer didn't just win this contract. So did Vortex.
Yes.
And the optic they're putting on this thing looks like something that ought to be going to Space Force.
It is awesome. I just spun up on it this afternoon. Yeah, this thing is just absolutely amazing.
I am not spun up on it. Can you tell us about this new Vortex optic? Can it see through women's clothing?
No.
Oh.
So the optic is going to be designated the XM157. As you said, it's made by Vortex. So what they did, and it's actually quite genius, they looked at all the attachments they're running, your low power variable optic, your PEC IR laser, your laser rangefinder, and your, I'm forgetting what it's called, honestly, but the thing that reads the weather and the barometric pressure, wind speed, and all that.
A meteorologist.
Basically.
It has a meteorologist.
Yeah.
Hopefully it's one of those Mexican ones with big chests, tight shirts.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be funny? You look through the optic and there's a hottie in there telling you the weather.
Be so confused. You're supposed to be pulling security. What are you doing? Nothing.
Barometric pressure on the battlefield today is rising. But there's a moist front coming in from the lower valley. I just pissed off every female listener that we have. All three of them.
And then you wonder why Crystal's not on the show.
Hi, Mom.
So anyways, what they did is they looked at all this extra stuff, extra attachments that you're putting on your rifle that keeps adding weight. And they decided to take it and go ahead and put it all into the optic. So this thing almost has a heads-up display. It has an IR laser, so a PEC is no longer needed.
So a PEC, for those of you listening that aren't tactical nerds like us, PEC 15 is the military version of what you would get as an APLC or a D-ball, which is a little rectangular box that typically mounts on the front of the weapon system. And it has a visible laser and an IR laser, IR meaning ultraviolet, or no, infrared, sorry. Infrared, there's no violet, what the infrared, and so that means that you can only see that laser if you're wearing night vision.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's integrated into the optic. It's got all of that in one big package.
And it reads your temperature, your wind speed, the velocity of an unladen and laden European swallow. I'm just kidding. It doesn't actually feature that. But it does all that. Plus, it's got the IR laser built in and a laser rangefinder. So you can point at something, and it's going to tell you not only
Is it going to adjust your hold? So, like, does it adjust the reticle based on the rangefinder's results, or does it just tell you the results of the rangefinder and you have to do your dope?
It tells you exactly what to do, though. So if it tells you here's wind speed in order to hit this target, it's this distance.
You would think it would just automatically adjust the reticle so that it takes the idiot out, the idiot factor out of it, which we're talking about the Army here.
Yes, and while I agree, I think there's some issues with having that where you still want to be able to manually do holds, because sometimes those things are off by a little bit. Mm-hmm. And it gives you the option to put in all the information manually if you have to, or to let the reticle do it itself. You can even change the color the display is in. Gives you like 5 different color options. It is quite an.
So you can have a white meteorologist, a black meteorologist, or a Spanish meteorologist.
Almost. I think the colors were red, green,
That's racist.
orange, and I'm forgetting what the last color was.
Wow. Well, and you know what? A lot of people are like, oh, changing colors, that is so gamer. But honestly, it's not. You know, like I shoot PCC, for example, pistol caliber carbine. And when we shoot a steel match, the steel is typically painted white, right? And it is fact that a green dot shows up brighter and faster to the eye and to the brain than a red dot on white.
Yeah, but if you're in a jungle environment, you probably might not want a green reticle.
Yeah,
so
or if you're shooting at aliens.
Yeah, and it's not the reticle that changes colors. It's the actual heads up that displays your yardage, your wind velocity, and all that you can change the colors.
Right, because if it's a black background, you'd want it white. Yeah. If it's a white background, you'd want it black. You want to be able to read it.
The fact that, they're not the first ones to have all the barometrics and rangefinder built in, but the fact that they also added an IR laser built into it as well is what really makes it cool. So less attachments are required. Now the only thing you're really having to attach is a thermal or night vision clip on if you want to.
Magazine.
I should have known that was coming. And then really the only other thing is a flashlight. I mean, that's it. So, and back to the original how this went was talking about the weight. You were telling me about that, and I've seen it myself. It is laughable, the difference between the two. The M4 carbine weighs, and I think these weights are slightly off.
Yeah, it's going to depend.
But they're saying the average weight of a M4 carbine is 7.3 pounds.
7.3 pounds?
Yes.
With an optic?
Didn't say, but I'm assuming so because I thought it was closer to 6.5, 6.
But an EOTech might weigh 0.2 of a pound or something, so we're talking 7.5 pounds.
Yeah.
Roughly.
The new rifle is a whopping 8.3 pounds.
So it's 1 pound heavier. And so that's what the millennial gun community is freaking out about.
1 pound.
1 pound. Now, if you listen to Red, White, and Ben, ounces equal pounds and pounds equal pain.
And it does. It does to a certain extent. But man, if you can't hold up and hump around a 8.5 pound rifle, hump around means, excuse me for layman terms who don't know what weird verbiage you're using.
Don't hump an 8 pound rifle if you can't handle it.
Forget this. Some people don't know what that means. Humping is hiking. Yes. In the military, especially Marine Corps, they refer to hikes as humps. I don't know why.
This is why we'll get kicked off the radio.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. So anyway, let's talk about humping and hiking.
Yes.
If you can't hump an extra pound, it's because you're out of shape and you're a fat LARPer.
Yes.
And you need some help in your life.
Yes.
And you know what? You're probably never going to go to battle. I hope not, because if you do, it's probably on American soil.
You should probably worry about battling heart disease.
Yeah,
first.
You need to worry about battling heart disease. You need to worry about staying around for your family. You need to worry about feeling better about life every day, every morning when you wake up. And to do that, you need to work out and you need to eat right. And you need to take vitamins, take supplements to fill the voids in your life. And to do that, Alex and I trust Precision Fitness and Medical Spa in Creve Coeur. They check our blood every month or so. They tell us what we're deficient in, vitamin D. You know, my wife, they just said she's got too much vitamin D. I've been giving her too much D. And so she has to cut back on the D. They just told her that yesterday.
I'm sure that was great news for you.
Yeah. I couldn't cut back on the D anymore. You know, they check all your levels. You know, in men, they'll check your testosterone. In women, they'll check your progesterone. And they will sit down with you and go over your full blood analysis. And then they will tell you, you know, what fish oil pills, supplements, vitamins, peptides, you know, that you can do to augment, you know, and supplement your life and feel better, sleep better, dream better, get deeper sleep, have pain less. What? You know, something about deeper?
Yeah. I didn't know where that was going, and I freaked out for a minute.
No, we're not talking about penetration. That's bullets. That comes after the ad. Yeah. This is an ad for Precision Fitness. Keep it clean.
Ballistics.
Keep it clean. You know what? But if you are already in good shape and you're and you just want to have your face look younger, they can do that too. You know, all kinds of things from Botox to, you know, collagen injections and yada, yada, yada for the ladies out there and the metrosexual men like me. Yeah, I need to get some Brotox. My wrinkles in my forehead are getting worse again. Did you know you have to keep doing that?
Yes.
It's like crack.
I'm aware. My wife does it.
Anyway, we'll be right back after this. At some stations and at other stations, we're still here. Hey, look at that. We're still here. Anyway, check out precisionfitnessandmedicalspa.com or call them. Google it, Precision Fitness and Medical Spa. Ask for Jamie if you want to be more beautiful. Ask for Jen if you want to be more beautiful. Ask for Jamie if you want to be more of a bad asterisk.
Mamma Jamma.
Mamma Jamma. All right. So let's get back to talking about this XM5.
Yeah.
6.8 by 51, the new Army weapon, $4.7 billion contract with SIG Sauer, 10 years of rollout. And, we were talking about the weight and how it only weighed 1 pound more than the M4.
So here's the real funny part. They want to complain about weight. When you get to the XM250, which is the new belt-fed platform that's going to be replacing the M249 SAW, that is actually only 12 pounds. In comparison, the M249 SAW is around 18 pounds, depending on what barrel it's outfitted with, what stock, what optic. And the M240 at 26 to 28 pounds, same depending on what optic it's outfitted with, down to 12 pounds. So while the rifle is just a whopping 1 pound heavier, the belt fed is actually down 6 pounds. That's like another carbine.
Right. So the belt fed, which is normally carried by the biggest dude on the platoon.
No, you'd think it's usually the smallest.
Really? Is that why you did it? Is that why you were so big now? Is because you were so puny back then and that machine gun made you like...
Yeah, I was like... At one point after my second deployment, I was down to about $140.
Yeah, I was $150 when I came out of the police academy. Can you imagine that?
Pictures. It looks weird.
Yeah, you have to be very talented with your tactics because you have no weight to throw around.
Nope.
I learned that weight actually is more important sometimes than tactics.
Yep.
And so that's why now I weigh 218 pounds, thanks to Jamie and Jen at Precision Fitness.
True story.
And it's not cheeseburgers.
No.
Okay. So it's the machine gun, the SAW replacement is 6 pounds lighter. That's awesome.
Yeah.
The carbine, I don't know if we can call it that anymore. Is it really carbine length?
Yeah. I believe carbine indicates that it's got the collapsible stock. And it is. And actually, I actually saved something. It's an image which doesn't help the people listening, but I can describe it, of the suggested TO of what everybody's going to be outfitted with. So TO is what you're tactically outfitted with for a squad. Okay. And what they're breaking down is a suggestion of the squad leader will now carry the XM5 and the SIG M17, which is the Army version, M18 Marine Corps version, which civilian version is the SIG P320 sidearm.
Mm-hmm. And I've got the M18 version of that, which is the military version?
Yes.
Okay, because it's got a safety on it.
Yeah, correct.
That's what makes it the M18. Okay.
The team leader will have the same setup. Then the automatic rifleman will be outfitted with the M250 automatic rifle, which I think is brilliant. Mm-hmm. The SAW, I never understood the point of having... I get it for suppressive fire purposes, and it's theoretically able to use M16 magazines to run the SAW. I've never seen it actually successfully work, but in theory, you're supposed to be able to. But it just seems to defeat the purpose of having another 5.56. I feel like for defeating barriers or walls or vehicles, you'd want something a little heavier for the
which is why everybody wanted the 240 Bravo.
Yeah, but then you have that weight, and that's more of a vehicle mounted, and it is not enjoyable to hike around with.
Right.
So this is the perfect in-between compromise. You're getting 308 level power. You're getting a much heavier round. We're talking 130 to 140, and I actually read that they're working on 150 grain bullets for this. So we're going from the standard 55 to 62 grain of...
that's 3 times the mass.
Yeah.
Which is the 3 times the energy on target if they can maintain the same velocities.
They did. I'll get to that in a minute when we talk about the round. It is an impressive round. And then wrapping up with the Grenadier... everybody's going to have the same outlet, and then the Grenadier will have the M320A1 GLM, which is a shoulder-fired single-shot little compact grenade launcher. You have it on a single-point sling, or even they have belt attachments for it.
I used to like Grenadier in my Shirley Temples.
True story.
Yeah.
True story.
Oh, wait, that's Grenadine.
Same thing. Same but different.
Same thing but different.
So
they both make things red.
I see what you did there. You are not wrong on that.
Thank you.
This, especially for Pink Mist, will really create some. If you want a little bit of specs about the round. One.
Well, so you were telling me off the air that one of the reasons that they switched to this round, and this was very concerning and alarming to me,
yes,
was that so many, air quoting, people have level 4 body armor these days because it's so affordable. General Miley Cyrus said.
I despise that.
And so that General Miley Cyrus says that people, meaning Americans, citizens, have these as cheap as $250 level 4 armor plates that will stop NATO 5.56. And so he wanted weaponry that can defeat level 4 body armor. So they're saying that the 6.8 by 5.1, the round that is being made for these guns is going to defeat ceramic level 4 body armor, which 308 won't. 6.8 SPC won't. 5.56 M855 won't. So this is going to have to be a hot package.
And that's what I'm struggling to understand is I haven't seen any proof of it in testing being able to defeat body armor. Because while it is a nasty round, yes, and I'll get to some of the specs in a minute, I don't think it's enough to be able to defeat level 4 armor, especially some of the stuff that's out there. That
depending on what they put in the core.
Yeah, but I mean, even then, we've got plates that will stop 30-6 AP and 300 Win Mag AP. I mean, that's going to be hard to beat. So we're talking 130 to 150 grain bullets between 2,900 and 3,100 feet per second. So maintaining almost exactly the same velocity as the 5.56 round, but with up to triple the mass. That is a devastating round. Now we're talking at 3,000 plus feet per second of a 150 grain bullet. That's 308 level velocity, but
with a much smaller round.
And anybody who knows, if you've studied up on ballistics or if you haven't, 6mm platform period is dominating the market right now for accuracy. Precision rifle series where guys shoot at extremely long distances at very small targets in a very rapid amount of time have entirely 308 is dead. If you show up to a PRS match with the 308, you're going to get laughed at and spanked because it's higher recoil, higher muzzle flip, so slower shots on target, and ballistically, it can't even hold a candle to the 6mm platform. It's a lighter, softer shooting, flatter shooting, higher velocity round. Downfall is barrel wear. They're saying out of this, it should be done every 12,000 rounds.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to shoot one.
Same.
Yeah, I'd look forward to taking that thing out and running it through its paces. We need to get a hold of some. We need to get a hold of some ammo, and then we'll report back to it to all you guys and let you know what we think. We have about less than a minute left, and I want to run through some news.
Yeah.
This week, President Biden implemented a special duty, that's a tax for those of you playing along at home, on Russian ammo that has not already been cleared through customs, and it is 30%.
Yeah.
30% duty on all Russian ammo that's not already inside this country. There still was some trickling in after all the sanctions and bans, and now it's going to be 30% more expensive. In addition to that, Russian government seized 130, estimated 130 million rounds of American ammunition.
Ouch.
In other words, Russian ammunition that was already bought and paid for by American manufacturers. The ship was boarded by Russian customs. 115 shipping containers were taken off and said that they are going to be individually inspected. Many people believe those American manufacturers have lost over $50 million due to this, and that this ammo is never going to find its way back onto a ship, and it's going to end up in a Ukraine battlefield somewhere pointed at the Ukrainians.
100%.
Anyway, we got to go. That's the end of this show for the local guys. We're beginning the after party. All right, so this is the after party. We were just talking about the Russians seizing $50 million worth of ammunition that's already been bought and paid for by American investors.
How furious would you be?
OMG. Matter of fact, one of our vendors, Ammo Right, they have 2 containers that were caught up in that. Their ammo was made in Bulgaria and put on the boat in St. Petersburg. It's not even Russian. They're hopeful that they're going to get it back, but let's just do the math on that. So let's say it's 762 by 39. And this is before excise tax. This is before the 30% duty.
Yeah.
They're probably paying somewhere around 31 cents for it at this point. Maybe,
I'd say so.
Maybe even less. Maybe 20. Let's say 25 cents. 25 times 2 million. 25 cents times 2 million. That's $500,000 they just lost.
Ouch.
You know, that's a pretty painful deal. And if you don't think that those investors are going to pass that loss on to you, the American ammo buyer, you're sadly mistaken. They will all get their money back some way, and it'll take some time. But what I'm saying in this after party is, guys, the ammo crisis isn't over. No. Even though ammo is showing up in droves all over the place. We actually have 30-06 right now.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You know, it is showing up everywhere, but the pricing on it is nuts.
And it's not going to come down.
And it's going up and up and up. Winchester Federal, they just announced another 8% price hike just about a week ago.
Yeah.
And that they're not selling primers to the public until further notice.
I just heard from very reliable sources that powder is going up yet again. So that's going to cause increases. Even for you reloaders out there, expect another price hike in powder.
Yeah, and just not being able to find it. I don't know anybody that can find 9 powder.
No.
That's your most commonly reloaded round. Small pistol primers are findable, but about 11 cents each for the public.
Whereas before pre-pandemic, they were what, 2 to 3?
Yeah. And large pistol primers are unheard of.
Yeah.
I don't even know what you use them to make, but they are hard to find. Rifle primers are also somewhat out there, but again, about 11 cents.
Yep.
So anyway, that's the, there's all kinds of other bad news to talk about. Do we have any good news? No. I don't.
There's a new round coming out for everybody soon. You won't be able to buy ammo for, but
yeah,
it's a cool gun.
Oh, did you hear that CZ had bought Colt? And in anticipation that Colt was going to win the Army contract?
Yeah.
That sucks for CZ, huh?
Now they're stuck owning Colt.
Oh, man. So anyway, that brings us to the end of the after party. We miss you, Crystal. Please come back next week and play with us. We never even got to debate whose beard was better.
No.
We'll do that next week. We'll see you guys at the next Shots Fired. Hey, by the way, if shots fired are shots at you, make sure you get off that X and find hardcover.
Absolutely.
Knowing what hardcover is a plus. Go Google that.